John? John, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Go out and check and make sure we're live. That things you can see things on YouTube. Okay.
Scene 15. Yeah.
What?
Yep. We're good.
How many people?
40.
Okay. All right, John. Can you shut your camera off? I don't want to kick you out of the meeting. But shut your camera off and mute. Yeah, there we go. Hey, will you make sure Levi's offline? Both of you offline. Okay. Can you send him a text and tell him to make sure he's offline in case he comes back? Okay, thanks. Bye. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Tom Anderson live event. A few months ago, we did another event like this. My name's Lori Anderson. I'm with Alexander Art, and I'm going to be your hostess with the mostest tonight. A few months ago, we did an event with Tom, and a lot of you participated and a lot of you painted along. And what we're really excited about bringing these to you is because Tom is going through and kind of walking through how Bill would paint this painting in his studio, and if he was painting in a studio and not on live television. So I want to share with you what was the inspiration for tonight. I'm going to share Bill's painting that Tom took his inspiration for to paint the painting that we're about to show you. But before I do that, I'd like to tell you a little bit about how the night's going to go. First of all, I want to welcome everyone. Those of you that are watching live and those of you that will be watching the replay, I want to welcome you. Go ahead and we've got the chat going. If you have a question along the way, either for Tom, later on in the evening, Tom should be on here answering questions after we actually run the video. So put your questions and make sure that if you have a question that you put a big capital Q in front of it so we can snag it and know that it is a question and we don't miss it. Dawn will be watching the chat. We'll be looking for your questions. What we're going to do is I'm going to share the video with you of Tom painting the project. And then it's going to be available for you to paint along. And we're going to have it up for a month. We're going to come back 2 more times. Tonight, we're going to show you the painting. We don't suggest you paint along today. We suggest you just enjoy it and watch what Tom does. And then we want you to paint it on your own. And after you've painted it on your own, what we want you to do is take a photo of it and email it to us, the photo, to photos, that's plural, PHOTOS at alexanderart.com. And we are going to select probably 4 to 6 people to review. And we're going to come back. Well, next week we'll have a Q&A. Next week, Tom will be on. So once you've had a chance to watch the videos and paint along, anything that might come up as you're doing this, we're going to do a live Q&A next week, and we'll give you the dates later on in the evening. But we're going to come back on so Tom can help you along the way. And then on his birthday, we're going to celebrate Tom's birthday with him on October 6th. And that night, he's going to come on and we're going to review 4 to 6 paintings that are submitted to us. Now, I know a lot of you participated in the last event and you understand the value of having someone of Tom's caliber look at your work. And, many of you did that painting with us and you've been painting with us every day since in the master class. And by the way, if anybody's interested in that master class, we're opening up enrollment again in October. So just keep that in mind. We're going to watch the painting. And when you paint at home, here's what we're going to recommend. Now, when Tom painted this, the video is going to be 54 minutes long. And when he painted it all wet on wet. Now, we always recommend, and Bill did the same thing when he was in a studio, we suggest you go to about 27 minutes and then just let it set up overnight. And then your highlights are going to go on much, much, much easier. So just go about halfway, set it aside, paint it as many times as you want, pick one you want to submit to us, and then we will do a random drawing to see whose paintings get reviewed. Now, another thing I know you guys, those of you that have participated in past events know, is that if you watch, whether you're watching Tom critique your work or somebody else's work, it's a great educational opportunity. And so even if you don't want to paint along, we recommend that you come and join us for the evening and watch the reviews. Now, this project is only going to be up on YouTube until October 6th. At that point, it's going to be taken down. So if you are interested in painting this painting, we highly recommend you get right on it. So with that, I don't know, Dawn, are there any questions that come up regarding the event this evening? Okay, does not look like. Oh, question. Will it be posted on YouTube or on your website? Sue, great question. For those of you that are on our email list will get a link, but it will be on YouTube. So the link that we email out to you will be it'll be posted up on YouTube. So it'll be posted. Actually, you'll be able to watch this live event, and we might just put the video by itself up there too later on tonight or tomorrow. So yeah, great question. Any other questions, Don?
No other questions.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you so much. All right. So with that, I want to show you, this is the painting. This was Tom's inspiration. This is something that Bill did, and he painted this painting. It was in a Walter Foster book. Now, what I can tell you about Bill's paintings that appeared in books, the Walter Foster books weren't necessarily tied to video. All of the books, all of the shows that we produced of his, we had companion books, but he had to paint the painting like he did on the video in 26.5 minutes. Now, he might have had a little more time, but again, this was for a how-to book for Walter Foster Company. Now, Walter Foster Publications, I think, was their name, or that may still be. But I want to tell you something. I remember back in the 90s when Walter Foster, they were uniforming their books. And so they changed all the covers to kind of look alike. But at the time, they kept Bill's picture on his book because his book was by far the bestseller that they sold at that time. So anyway, this was the inspiration for Tom. He's going to do this. You can see that he made the mountain more prominent, and he's given you a little bit of variety. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and share the video. Again, kind of pay attention to about the 27 mark. And actually, it's once he gets all the base on before he starts to highlight. When you're painting at home, we really, really recommend that you stop at that part, wait overnight. And if you're so excited about painting and you want to keep painting, just start another one. Do another one up to that point. Well, with that, I think we'll go ahead and share the video. Okay, so.
Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Tom Anderson, and we're going to show you how to get a Bill Alexander painting done in a short period of time. So let's look at the canvas. Got a good taut canvas, nice and white. I've applied a little acrylic on it. And we have our colors out here. We have our thick titanium white, cad yellow, permanent red, alizarin, phthalo green, Van Dyke brown, RB black, and I have a large tube of Prussian blue. We do have the small tubes. And I have my magic white. I recommend you do this when you do your magic white. Just put a towel over this, and what if you one day don't put the lid on properly? You could splash it everywhere. So do this. This is a good idea. It's just a good habit. Shake it up, and let's get the white on there first, guys. That's a big deal. Let's do that. Open this up. And I'll go ahead and move my knife and fan brush and everything. So we're just going to do a nice, good painting you guys can get started with. There's your magic white. Get this out of the way, that out of the way, move that over here. A lot of moving parts in painting, guys. So we want to put it on correctly. So get yourself your 1-inch brush or 2.5-inch brush. Depends on the size of the canvas you're working on. This is an 11 by 14, okay? I'm shaking it off. And I'll just go ahead and put it up like this. Kind of analytical like that. You see that? Straight line across. Now you just want to rub it in, get it moving on the canvas. I'll hold this canvas. I've really got the power going in there now. Clean your brushes off really well. But one time I did this and I had not gotten the yellow out, and then everything started turning yellow on me. So get this up and down, go across, get it going, go back and forth if you have to, and then come back and check it. That's a good thing. And what I like to do is I like to, every time I put it on, I just want to go in with my palette and I can see how much I have here. Because you know, you can have a lot more than you think. Now, if you see that, I can't do that in slow motion. Maybe I can. But see how that's building up on the palette knife? That's a peak of a mountain right there. You can put something in that, some thick white and everything. I got a brand new tube of thick white. Thanks to Lori. Yeah, look at all that white coming up. So that's a fast way to get this up here. Pick it up and then put it on the palette. This is a good spot right here. I'll just lay it down there. I'm going to get that out of the way. Now, let me check it with my finger, just to show you. You see that? It's not too much. If you want it a little thinner, you can rub it down with a paper towel. That will help you to get it down thinner. Rub it down a little bit. And you don't have to obsess on it too much. All right, that's good enough. You do want the paint to be able to move. That's the whole idea of it. Well, let's put our colors out intrinsically, you guys. Here's my brand new tube of white. I'm excited about that. I might have to do a little mountain back there. That powerful white. Whoa, that's beautiful. Great job, Lori. She deserves all the credit in the world. That looks so awesome. Here comes my yellow. Put it right here. And I'm doing this intrinsically, you guys. I'm moving across. I'm not even sure how many colors I'm going to use, but I thought I would do this intrinsic palette for you. Here's the permanent red. I have a pretty nice palette. This is a glass palette with a white background on it, so you can see everything. Now I should do this. I should put it out like this so you guys can see how I'm operating. So here's my alizarin. And I get the Van Dyke brown out of the way. Now remember, anytime you use a brown color, whether it's burnt umber or Van Dyke brown, you are actually creating oxidation in the canvas and dries a little quicker. So that was green. That was the phthalo green. Here comes the Van Dyke brown. Look how nice that is. That brown is really nice. Burnt umber is nice too. All browns will oxidize faster because they're loaded with iron. That's just a natural product from the earth colors. So there's a little ivory black. What I think I'll do is move that over. Hold on, guys. Watch this. I'm going to move that ivory black over and put my Prussian blue right here. I went ahead of myself. It happens. Okay, look at that now. So that means we're in business, you guys. We're ready to paint. So I got a nice painting up there. So I'm going to take some Prussian blue and pull it down. We're already starting to paint. Okay, let's get up here and get the sky started. So you have the blue up here, and you're going to model this blue in. Just have fun with it. Move it around, shake it up. You know, leave little holidays in there, holes and everything. Just get into the painting. Okay, I'm going to grab a little bit more because I'm being, not getting a lot. That's the issue. I don't know if you watched Bill when he did this. He didn't really grab a lot at the beginning. Okay, there's no water in this painting, so I'm just going to come up here, add a little bit of this. Pretty blue, isn't it? Look how nice it is. And then as you work down, you do less pressure, and you just kind of do less pressure, but you're mixing into that white a little bit too, so that's a good thing. And you just drop it down. come across. You can come back up and just start blending it out. Look how nice it is. You can model that out a little more like that if you want. Just kind of dig into the dark a little bit more. Then just blend it out. Look. See how nice that is? Look how beautiful that looks. Like you're already in the sky. You see that? I like to come down here and I like to take the paint and get rid of it. Like Bill would always do water or something. But if you just clean the brush off down here, no matter what you're doing, you're going to do something down here, ground, water, whatever it is. You get the brush cleaned off, and then you come up and you can blend it even more. So that's a quick way to take care of that without having to do too much. Now let's take a little artistic license here and put a little mountain back there with some trees underneath it. That would be a lot of fun, wouldn't it? So just do a quick little bluish mountain far in the distance. But before we do that, we want some little clouds. Okay, so we're going to take our magic white, not magic white, our thick white. Sorry, take our thick white on the fan brush. We're just going to come up and smash some clouds in now. Okay, so I look for the lightest area. Look, if you see those dark patterns and you see all the light right there, just go away from the dark and see if you can get into that light and hit the light with a little bit of power like that. Look. And that just kind of brings you into some cloud effect. Something there. See that? You don't even have to do much. Now you're going to wipe your brush off. Okay, if you want, just give it a wipe. That works. You can clean the brush too in your oil. Let's grab a little more white though. I hope I'm not moving too fast. Sometimes
Hey, Lori, the video is frozen.
you know, as an artist, sometimes you just have reflexes you didn't even know you had. So I got white. This kind of a Billism.
Okay, you guys, I'm sorry. I don't know why it froze. Let's give it another try.
All right, so then I'm going to pull it this way, load it up again, get this higher peak up here. So you'll start.
Okay. Let me play with it a little bit, you guys. I'm sorry about that.
Fan brush. We're just going to come up and smash some clouds in now, okay? So I look for the lightest area. Look, if you see those dark patterns and you see all
All right, you guys, I don't know why it is freezing. It shouldn't be freezing. Let me try it one more
the
time.
light right there,
Oh.
just go.
Okay, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the video and then I'm going to open it back up. And if somebody can put in the chat, if anybody knows exactly where he was, put it in the chat. That would be great. And Don, you can let me know, okay?
Will do.
It's always fun to have, you never know what's going to happen. So,
from the dark and see if you can get into that light and hit the light with a little bit of power.
We've got no video at all. There we go. Okay, let's see.
Let's do that. Open this up. And I'll go ahead and move.
Okay, I know we're not there. We know exactly where he
Start of the mountain.
Is that-
The
is that
start
a
of the
word?
mountain, Lori.
Start of the mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what we may have to do? I don't know what we may have to do, you guys. I think what we'll do is we just won't run the video right now. And I think what we'll do, we have Tom in here. We're going to just turn this into a Q&A, and we will put the video up tonight. I'll put it up and you can go out and watch the video. You'll get to see the whole painting and be able to watch the whole thing. And if it's on the YouTube platform rather than here on live, then I'm sure we won't have any problems. So I'll tell you what, we have a free Q&A for Tom. So if you have questions, anything you'd like to ask him, he's a great master artist and he can tell you any kind of answer you want. So I'm going to bring him in. And as soon as I see you sitting down, Tom, I see him in there. So I'm sorry about this, you guys. And you know, you just never know. It works fine sometimes it doesn't, but we'll get to watch it. We'll get to watch it later. So there we go. Okay, I'm going to bring him in. There we go. Hi, Tom. Let's make sure we can hear you. Tom, can you unmute yourself? Or Linda, can you unmute Tom?
Thing. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you just fine, Tom. Thank you for joining us. I don't know. I guess the video just isn't going to play tonight. So, but that's okay. They can watch it. They can watch it just right in YouTube. So we will just look for questions. So,
Right.
Dawn, do we have any questions for Tom?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay, then I've got a couple of questions for you, Tom.
Okay.
You were painting this painting on a 12 by 16 size canvas. Would you recommend, is that the size canvas? I know you were doing it for video. Is that the size canvas you would recommend for other people, or would you recommend they paint it larger?
Well, they could paint it larger. I did it basically because, you know, to get it in that hour, you know.
Right.
I was going to add the mountain in a little more detailed. So I chose the smaller canvas just so I can, time frame wise, I can
Right.
get it all in, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the larger the painting, the longer it's going to take.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. So for video, it's a little bit harder, but all of you could go ahead and paint this on a larger. What if time was no issue for you, what size canvas would you prefer to put that painting?
I probably would have done this on a 18 by 24, but
Okay.
I have to say something about that, Lori.
Okay.
Like this one here, we're painting in the Beyond class. So when you go through the master class, you go to the Beyond class. So this is something that we did today. I added in all this, the grass down here and the rocks and everything. And today we're getting towards the end here. But the thing about it is, when you're doing a painting and you're going to think about it in longer progression, right? Okay, the bigger the canvas, the more space you have to fill up. And it just takes a little longer than as if you're working on a smaller canvas. You can get away with a little bit more impressionism, basically, is what I'm saying. So doing it on a smaller canvas gets everybody kind of warmed up, you know, like, so I got a big canvas, I don't know what to do with it. You know, it's too big, the canvas is too big. Well, if you work on a small one, you get a happy little painting in there, then, you know, you're going to feel pretty happy about it. So think about working bigger down the road, you know, start practicing with smaller canvases. My hope is that when you start with that small canvas, you're going to feel a little more enthusiastic about putting paint on the canvas. That's really why I chose that size. That was one of the reasons.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Tom. Just to clarify, Tom did not paint that whole painting that he's sitting next to today. he added some of the foreground. We've been working on this painting. This is one of the projects we're doing in the Beyond class. The Beyond class is a class that people go into. That's a weekly live class that we do with Tom after you've completed the master class. And so I'm thinking there we do a lot of glazing and letting paintings dry. And that particular painting, I think he's how many hours? It's over 20 hours.
Yeah, but remember, one thing I'm doing is, even in this Alexander painting you're going to see on YouTube, I'm explaining a lot. So when you're explaining a lot more than just painting, it's taking longer anyhow. So that's like, if it was just me sitting down and just going for it, you can cut down half the time, right, Lori?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. No, that's you explaining, not just you're explaining every single stroke, Tom.
Exactly.
That's what you're doing. And so,
I mean, even today I was explaining these going that way, how I double loaded the brush and went that way. And it's the same thing with the one that's going to be on YouTube, that when it comes up, I'm going to be explaining a lot more. And that's a big deal. I think people want more information, whether it's a Bill Alexander or something like this, they want information.
mm-hmm.
And I want to be the information guy. I
Yeah,
want to say, this is why I'm doing this. And this is what Bill was thinking when he did it. That's really powerful. Then you can really kind of get into it and understand it more.
Mm-hmm.
And if you understand it more, a lot of people explain stuff, but I get kind of detailed about explaining things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what I want to do, is give a lot of information.
Well, Tom, one of the things that I've always said about you as an artist and more so as a teacher, as a master artist and a master teacher, is that regardless of how more advanced your paintings have gotten, you've never forgotten how to teach as if it was somebody's first time painting. And that's what makes the difference, is that you're not leaving anything out. You're not thinking, okay, well, they already know this. Repetitious learning is the way to learn.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great.
I moved that earlier. I didn't tighten it down.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I do. I just try to explain a lot, because, you read a lot of books about art, and then you start thinking and you say, well, maybe they need to know what phrases are in art, like chiaroscuro and fumato, and these
Mm-hmm.
words of gracili, people want to know, and they want to be able to tell their friends, I know what that means, and why am I blending that sky out or hitting the edge of that, making it look like smoky edges on the mountain? Well, who's responsible for that idea? Leonardo da Vinci, right? The first person to invent fumato. And then what did Bill call it? Hypnotizing. So you got two terms that mean the same thing, but you're getting the same result. I try to blend all that together. I pull Bill's ideas in, and then I also pull in Renaissance ideas, because it's history that lays down all this information people want to know about. So by the time you get through masterclass, get to the Beyond class, all of a sudden I'm painting and I'm talking about Caravaggio for some reason. Something comes out of me, and then I pull out this information that I know about, and I start talking about, what did Caravaggio do? How did he get that light in there? What did he do that changed, the idea of light, where light was coming from? Why? And how do you get it? Those are the things I look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can start you off with a Bill Alexander painting, to get the paint on the canvas, that's the key, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get the paint on the canvas on a 12 by 16 or even a 11 by 14. Well, then we can start saying, hey, look, let's get a little bit bigger. Let's expand the sky a little more. Let's do an ocean scene like Buck Paulson. Boy, that'd be great, right? Come on. That's really what we want to do, is get things rolling, and have fun. It's really great to paint. You put yourself in a different place. The time goes by. You put some music on. You start listening to it in your studio. before you know it, you're creating all this stuff, and you will sell some paintings, just like one of our Beyond students just recently did. Pretty proud of herself. So that's a great thing. And isn't that nice to have it in your house? You know, but you got to start somewhere. You got to be brave and go for it, and put it on the wall. Now, I want you to be brave, but I also want you to be knowledgeable. So if I can get the knowledge in there at the same time you're getting your courage up to go in there and paint, that's a big deal. And that's what Bill did. He inspired you, right?
And Tom, isn't it
students all over the place, you know?
Isn't it true that the more knowledgeable you get, the braver you get?
Well, yeah, that's true. The more you know, the more confident you get too.
Right.
So if I can get you to know things, then you're going to be more confident about doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that. Don't you see that happening, Lori, with the master class and beyond class? How they're just feeling more confident as they go on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So that makes it sort of, oh, I can do that. You know, I mean,
yeah,
it's just a time thing.
Yeah.
You know, I like to refer back to my guitar, but I just learned a new song today. I thought I'd never figure out, and I did it. So, I mean, come on. But it's because I'm so persistent, you know?
Yeah. So, Dawn, are there any questions? I see some questions in the chat. Okay. Best way to make snow break on a mountain, Tom? Andy Caccioli wants to know that.
Okay.
Hi,
all right. There's several ways to do it. One is when you put your magic white on the canvas, make sure the area where you're going to do your mountain at is the white isn't as thick there. So when you put your grayish color on the mountain area, you're going to dig that paint down in pretty deep into the pores of the canvas. That's number one. So you're applying that gray in really hard to get it down in that. Don't go through the canvas, but you know what I mean. Just put it on deep enough so that it's really down in the pores, like the crevices of the canvas. So if it gets deep enough in there, when you get your thick white and you put it on, it will glide over the surface of it like, let me give an example. Okay, suppose I had some Vaseline and I put it on my hand right here, and I just get a glob of it and just run it across my hand, real thick. And then I get another glob of Vaseline and put that on the Vaseline. It's just going to blend together and melt away, right? But now if I do this, if I put some Vaseline on my hand that's really rubbed in, really kind of get it down in there on my hand, and then I put a blob on there, just kind of rub it on, it'll be nice and thick and impasto. So that's kind of the way you want to think about it. Okay? Think about it that way. You know, and then there's another way to do it. Put your gray mountain down, come back tomorrow, and it'll be 10 times easier. Or another day, the next day after that, it'll go on much easier. Okay? So that's another way to do it. So then it'll break really nice. Some of my students never wanted to put their snow on until like 2 or 3 days later, you know, because then they can control it and go back and forth and manipulate it. Because here's why. I don't know if you guys all know this, but like when even Raphael painted, one of the things they said about Raphael was he kept his paint wet for quite a while. What would be the reason for that? Well, if he kept his paint wet, he could model one color into another and create a lot of chiaroscuro, blending values together. So if you keep it wet and you come back day after day after day, and you're moving one color shade in the other, you can get a lot of values. And at the end is when you add in that thicker paint, and you dab in your spotlights. You know, you dab this in, dab that in a little bit thicker. That's called pointilles, when you got little dots of little like a Vermeer, where it would be just like a little dots of light all over the place. So then you get these little thicker pieces of paint on there. So did I answer that well?
You did. Andy did. How did you do? Andy just put in the chat. if you have any further questions or if Tom answered it. And we're waiting to hear back from Andy. Don, go ahead and feed us another question. Are you wanting or expecting us to duplicate the painting or make it our own?
Make it your own. You know, I didn't do exactly what Bill did on the page, did I? And that's the freedom. That's what's beautiful about what Bill did. You can take any old Walter Foster book or any of the books that Lori has on in her library, and you can look at them and invent your own version of it, because that gives you more power, actually, I think. Bill, I remember when Bill tapped me on the back and I was painting a mountain scene and everybody was doing the same thing. I just wanted to do something different. So I took the palette knife and I scraped down from the top. I told this story before, and I graffitoed it out and I created this lightning effect. It looked like lightning. And Bill tapped me on the back and he goes, I love it, you know, because, and he knew it was lightning because he could see what I was doing, but I felt really good that I did something different. And he just was smiling at me like, there's no tomorrow. It was a wonderful feeling. I felt really proud of myself that I don't know how it just came to me, but I just graffitoed that lightning out and he loved it. I was just happy. So yeah, invent it your own way. Now, if you got a mountain that's taking over the whole page and the tree's right in the middle of the mountain, that might be a little bit, you know, off kilter, but try to follow the basic format and make the tree a little redder if you want. You can put more dark behind it if you want. You can put a little more yellow on there. You know, you can make the ground a little bit greener. It's up to you. No one's going to make exactly the same colors. It's going to be, even if I was trying to duplicate some, I'd probably have to make 12 million colors just to make it look exactly the same. Of course, another thing too, when you have a printed picture, you're always going to see more violet in anything that's printed. So if it's a little bit more violet, you can make it bluer. It's just up to you. Yeah, that's a great question. I love that question.
Well, here's the other thing. You know, we teach people how to oil paint, but you know what? It doesn't even matter which medium you use. If you want to use you want to use acrylic or watercolor or pastel or whatever you want, go ahead and do it in whatever it is that you like to paint and submit it to us. So we do reviews of all kinds, but we do want you to it needs to look like the Redwoods. It needs to look like Tom's painting somewhat. So don't just throw in another painting that you might want reviewed. But definitely make it your own. All right, Don.
Like a swamp.
Okay. Tom, how to decide which blue to choose for the sky between Prussian blue and phthalo blue in a painting?
Well, I have this little thing where, you're still going?
No, I just said Ange asked that question.
Okay. I know that, now see, one of the things I'm really good at is mixing color. So if you want something that looks more northern, like in the northern latitude, and you're up real high, just go to Prussian blue, because Prussian blue has that deep look to it. It gives it that nice look. There is other things like ultramarine, cerulean, and all that. Those are other colors you can use, but you can always use phthalo blue with a tinge of ivory black in it, and it'll kind of give off something that looks very similar to Prussian blue. Okay, so you can play around with color, but if you want to stay in the format where Bill is, maybe stay with the Prussian blue. But if you don't want to, you can use ultramarine. You can use phthalo blue with a tinge of black, and you just have to know how to make color change. One of the secrets to painting the sky, though, is that there's always going to be a little touch of red in something everywhere, because red is that middle color. Red, if you look at your yellow here, let's just do it this way. If you look at yellow here, red here, and blue there, red is going to be in everything. But blue's not going to be in everything. You can have it in some things, but it's not going to be overwhelmingly in everything. So you probably want to make sure there's a little bit of red in anything you do, like even in your phthalo. Now, when I said black, here's what I mean. Ivory black would do it. You can make black with yellow, red, and blue. That'll make black. Put a dot, a speck of that in there, and that'll change the blue and give it more of that background color. Give it more of a, like it's in the distance, because nothing is really pure blue. It's always got a little bit of, and this is an old teacher that told me this, there's always a little bit of kind of like dust in the sky, you know, like the sky has a lot of dust in it and particles, you know, of things, even pollen. Oh, speaking of pollen, you guys won't believe this. All right. I remember watching Bill paint this painting. I was in that, in getting certified, and he was doing this beautiful mountain scene. And he did the sky, he did the mountain, and he got underneath the mountain, and he was starting to do this yellowish thing. And then I was like, where's he going with that? And he turned around and said, do you feel the pollen? And then as soon as he put the tree in front of that yellow, oh man, I felt like I fell into the painting. It was mind-blowing. You had to be there. It's kind of like, how can I say this? It's like you went to a great concert and you saw a musician play something, but you see it on TV and it's never as good as that. That's what that was like. It blew my mind. I felt like I actually fell in the painting. It was so unbelievable, the feeling that I had. I was like, I was actually falling into a painting. I couldn't believe my eyes. Mm-hmm. And it was like, oh, I learned something there. When Bill turned around, he looked at me. He knew I got it too. And he was like, do you love it? The funniest thing. I tell you, that was so amazing. I never told you that, did I, Lori?
No, I've never heard that story, but I also,
just now.
Yeah, I know that there are two things here. You felt like you could fall into that painting, and when Bill would turn around and get eye contact with you, it was electrifying.
Exactly. Well, he was electrifying. You know, he had that magnetism. I wish I had that.
Yeah.
I have a little bit.
All right, Dawn, what's the next question? How do you make the water look wet? We're looking at your painting behind over your shoulder there. How do you make the water look wet?
Well, it's a lot of procedures. Now, I'm going to say something that everybody in the Beyond class already knows. That looks crooked on there, doesn't it? Okay. I don't know why. It's called, I would put it, let's go back to Tiziano Vecellio in Venice. He made a statement. He said, glazed 30 times. So we're talking about like colors that you make, that you let dry, and you put another color over, like a sheet of glass. Then you put another color of like another sheet of glass over it. So when you're glazing, and that's getting it to a higher level of painting. So it's thin paint, clear oil, that works beautifully. And then you put another layer over it, another layer over it, control the lights a little bit, you control the darks a little, and you're just putting layers of glass over it, literally. It's like you're layering it with glass. Sheets of glass in one color, yellow. I think we did a yellow down here, then we did a green, and then we did a brown sheet of glass on it, and then we put a highlight of light on top of that, and that looks like it's translucent going through the water. Boy, I got a lot to teach you guys, but you have to do the Bill Alexander painting first, or the Beyond, or the master class, so these levels build on top of each other. I didn't start this way. I had to learn things like this, and I was painting more fine art when I started, but that was 2 years of fine art. Then when I met Bill Alexander, I took the combination of that and I blended it with Bill's stuff, because Bill was like knocking everything. You know what? This is interesting. So that's a great question. I would go to my fine art class, and these people were working on the sky for a month. I see Bill Alexander. I come back into my art class, and I didn't want to be working from here to there, to there, to there. I'm not kidding, guys. Are you listening to this? I'm not even making this up. This is the truth. My teacher that taught, we started here to there, to there, to there, to there, there, then back this way, then back that way, then back across this way. And finally, after about a month, you're only here in the painting, or maybe 2 months. Well, then I'm watching Bill and I go, what? Boom, boom, boom. There's the sky. And it looked better than what they did. Am I talking too loud? They look better than they did in 2 months or a month. How is that possible? Well, I didn't find out till later that the wet on wet technique's been around for 500 years. Bill just brought it to the masses. He showed everybody what you can do. So I abandoned that, but I use it when I need to. And in this case, that's where I'm using it. So I'm doing a combination of wet on wet plus the fine art, blending them together. That's really a cool way to paint, you guys, because then you can get a lot up there quicker and you can use both and utilize them at the same time. Did it make any sense, Lori?
Yes, it sure did. Since we saw you a couple months ago, we have recorded. Tom is excellent at mixing color. He's like excellent mixing color. We've recorded over 3 hours of color mixing that we're putting a course together that is going to teach you how to make everything you need from yellow, red, and blue. And it's going to be very, very detailed. And so it's going to be, we're hoping that it'll be available late this fall, maybe right before Christmas. So keep an eye out for that color course, because it's where he teaches you how to mix anything. And, in the painting that you're going to do, the Bill's scene that you're going to paint with Tom, he's using lots of different colors, and he's doing that because that's what Bill does. And what we asked him to do was to show people more extensively what Bill would do. And so when he's teaching in the master class and in this beyond class, he's using yellow, red, and blue. We're using a much, and violet, burnt umber, just a handful of colors. And he's teaching how to mix right from the very first painting in the beyond class. So it's pretty amazing. Dawn, what's the next question? How do you know when you need to foreshorten an object? Bridget would like to know this.
Well, you have to have a sense of perspective. Okay, there's some rules to this. There's like 10 rules to the making something look like it's further away. But the simplicity of it is this. Okay, here's my hand. Okay, I'm coming towards the computer. Now here's my other hand. This one's big and this one's small. If I come closer, it's a little bit bigger. Come closer, it's a little bit bigger. Closer, it's a little bit bigger. Now I'm equal. So you just have to understand bigger objects like a tree. If I do this really close, now it's a tree on the edge of the painting, and I have another tree that's further away over here, okay, there you go. It's just going to be smaller. And I have another one over here. It's going to be smaller, smaller, smaller. Hold on. Kung Fu. No, just kidding. Get the point? So you have to have a sense of depth, and you just make things larger in front and things smaller in the distance. And then while you're at it, the things that are here, this is great. Man, you guys got great questions. This is amazing. Okay, everything that's here in color is going to be richer, more vibrant, more brown. If your brown is in the foreground, think of that, guys. Brown is in the foreground. So if you've got brown here and lots of dark, heavy, good green, sap green in the front, whatever, all that's up here, brown. All of this back here is going to be much more pastel. In other words, the browns are going to be grayed down. So the further away you go, the grayer everything gets. Here's a prime example. The greens down here are more lit up and more vibrant. The greens back here are a little bit dark because they got some shadows, but they're not as vibrant as the greenish as they are here. But as you move back, they get even less detailed and less detailed. And finally, way in the distance, those greens become almost like a phthalo, kind of like a really gray green back here. And then the mountains become bluer and more violet as you come closer. So the sky gets lighter. So everything here is much more in a grayed down, even the brown here, look, Look at the brown back here. It's lighter in value with a little bit of violet in it, but it's much richer down here and deeper and closer. So gray is far away and brown in the foreground. And anything between, well, by the way, interestingly enough, now that I said that, one of the hardest things to do in painting is to get the mid area. But here's how you get the mid area. If you know your colors and you know this is the foreground and this is the gray down area, the colors that are here and the colors that are here blended together give you a mid-tone. So if you do that, you'll have a mid-tone of color here, lighter gray back here, and brown down here. Now that I made that statement, I want to tell you something that you probably don't know and you probably have never read. When some of these master artists painted, a lot of times they just broke their paintings into thirds. They would literally paint the sky in a really light gray. This is all before they even painted anything. Then they would paint a darker gray here and a black down at the bottom. And sometimes they would actually paint some of the object-like figures in there, but most of it was light, medium gray, and a dark black down here. And if they had something that they wanted to keep light, they would kind of leave it alone, kind of map it out and don't do it. Just let the white of the canvas come through. Like, let's say there was a person standing down at the bottom and they were pushing a cart or something on a dark ground area with brown in it and lots of green and stuff. That image would be like a ghostly image before they painted it in. But light, medium, dark, and then they'd have their apprentice come in and do some things, and they come in and go, no, you got that wrong. Move that over there. Usually they always did that just because they're the boss, right? Anyhow, so light, medium, dark, and before you know it, you can do anything. Now, I actually did this as an experiment because I know about this. I prepped some canvas with some acrylic. I did a light gray, a darker gray, and a black down here. We did a fast mountain scene. We put some grass down on the gray, and then we put some rocks down here and some grass down here, and then drew a tree up in the middle, and boom, done in a half hour. Everybody was blown away. But I had a little blue in the sky with the gray. Remember, gray's neutral. If you do a light enough gray, you can do just about anything. Now, I'm going to ask Lori, was that too much information, Lori?
No, it's never too much information, Tom. Thank you. Thank you for your answer. All right, Dawn, what's next? Okay, my wife, Life in Space says, my wife is an oil painter, but I still have so much to learn about how it's done. What's the first thing you would recommend for a beginner artist getting into oil painting?
Well, you have a lot of people out there that are great painters. Trust me, there's a lot of great painters out there. I would honestly, I'll be honest with you. If I had some of my students here with the master class or the beyond class, they'd probably go, Tom's the best, because they keep making my head so big I can't even walk out the door. I mean, but the reality is, you need a teacher that's, if you're going to learn more, you need somebody that's got a lot of good information, because information gets you going. It's like a fuel. It's like putting fuel in the tank, you know. That information pumps you up. It makes you confident, makes you want to go places. So let's back up on that. Having a good paint is another issue. If you go out and you purchase paint that are full of fillers, now what do I mean by that? Okay, if you have a paint like this and a company's just literally putting half of the paint with fillers and the other half is some pigment, you might have a little bit of a struggle getting paint to move around well. So pick a quality paint. That's really an issue. Alexander's paint's wonderful. That's all I use. So, but then you really want to think about that because some paint, if you're struggling, some paint will move a little bit. They call it short paint and long paint. Some paint will go longer. You touch it and it stretches really long, and the pigment is really ingrained in the oil that's mixed with it. So it's like it's really mothered together real well. So it stretches really long, and it's high quality pigment. So try not to go too inexpensive on your paint. If you know how to use your paint really well, like I teach people how to conserve everything on. I don't think Lori's making much money on selling paint the way I teach it, because we're barely using any paint, but we're getting so much done. Because I'm showing you how to use it strategically, and we're not just taking paint, dumping a bunch on the palette. I mean, that's all I used today. I barely used anything, and that's all I do. I don't get much more than that. I mean, and I just show you how to take all that paint and make it last forever. What was it? Danielle said her tube of blue lasted what, a year?
Yeah, or more. Yeah. Tom, can I just add a couple things here? First of all, yes, we are teaching everybody how to use less paint. And I'm thrilled about that, because our mission is to teach you how to paint. And we're not about selling paint. We do sell paint because we know our paint will help you learn to paint better. Couple things that come to my mind. Tom's being very, very humble here, but if you really want to learn how to paint and you want to learn the fast track on how to learn to paint, find somebody who's got a proven track record. And I've been with Alexander Art for 36 years, and I haven't seen any program like the one we are offering now, our masterclass, where people start with a beginning painting and we teach you step by step by step by step, and you continue to progress until you're painting paintings that look exactly or darn near exactly like the painting on Tom's easel here. And so, you know, you need a good coach. Tom is not only teaching, but Linda, we have Linda, she's a coach, she's a mentor, and she guides you along the way, and you get feedback on your work. And all of those things together, we have found, is the fastest way to teach people how to paint. So we're going to be talking more about that over the course of the next month when we do the reviews. And you know, we have these. If you want to know more about this, Dawn, maybe, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but if you could drop in the chat, if you could drop the link to the waiting list, if anybody that's in here knows they want to get on the masterclass waiting list, you can give them the link to get on that list. I will tell you too, there were a lot of people that painted the last painting. And then after that last painting, there were a lot that signed up for masterclass, and you should see where they are. And all you have to do is stop and see, where were you 2 months ago and where are you today? Because I guarantee you the people that joined the masterclass and started painting with Tom and with us, they're light years from where they were 2 months ago. So that's, I'm a firm believer in this program, because I've seen a lot of programs over the years, and I've not seen anything like this that helps people be so successful. Dawn, what's the next question? Oh, you know what? Life in space. Did you say that you're actually about 36 years old? So your entire life I've been here. Huh. All right. Life in Space wants to know, rocks are very difficult for me. What's the best way to start a realistic looking rock? And before you start, Tom, I just want to say, in our daily tips, I know at some time during the year, we did a series where that video that you did where you broke down how to paint a rock.
Right.
I know we put that out in the daily tips. We've got video on that. So I'm going to let you answer that now, Tom.
Okay, that's a great question. And I think the reason why that question was asked was because rocks are hard to paint. They're really hard to paint. And one of the reasons for that is because they have a lot of chiaroscuro in them, a lot of dimension to them. So, and I'll tell you something, my very first teacher said, if you can paint rocks, you can paint anything. Well, I thought, well, wait a minute, what does that mean? Because I'm always asking questions like, where'd the letter A come from? Anyhow, so, you know, so I went home and I picked out some, well, my wife actually did it. She picked out some pages out of a magazine. I said, I need to look at some rocks and try to paint them. and she picked out some rocks, and one of them had moss on them. It was like near a river or something. So it had some green in it, some gray and some brown and stuff. But there was a lot of green, a lot of moss on it. So I decided to do that one. Well, to cut the story short, it looked like somebody puked on my rocks. They were so bad. I could draw and pencil anything, but I got that paint on there and it was terrible. I mean, even I looked at it and went, what am I doing? It was just terrible. So I kept working at it. And so I'll give you just the formula here. When you do a rock, think of a box. Think like all right, rocks are round, but everything can be done in a square. Like if you draw a box, there's light on top, there's little half cast shadows, and there's dark underneath. So 1, 2, 3. Think about it in 1, 2, 3 levels. So let me show you. Just get a box here. Okay, we teach all this stuff. So if you look at this box, I can see it on screen. I don't have it on a table. So it would make a shadow if it was underneath it. But if you look at the box, there's light on top. There's a mid-tone right here. And on the back of this is a shadow. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. So let's say you have a tan color. You put the tan on top. You make a light brown here and a darker brown behind it. That'll get you started. Okay. Now let's say the rock is grayish. You put a light gray on top. You put a darker gray down here and a blacker gray down here. Now, let's say you've got seaweed on it or something. So you put a little green on it. Don't splash a lot. Start slow. Put a little there. You're going to need some blue reflective light. Put a little blue in the dark area, because all of your reflective light is always going to land up in the shadow. So let me tell you why I said that. When you're painting, you really need 5 values, but if you start with 3, you're on your way. So let me say this again. Light for the baby finger, medium tone, dark, that doesn't mean black, reflective light, and then shadow. Now shadow means like a really deep dark color, could be anywhere on anything. So it's a shadow tone. So what you do is you make your light, medium tone, a darker tone, and then your shadow. Then you put a little light on top and a little reflective light in the back. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. That gives you your 5 values. Did that make any sense? And you have to know where your light's coming from, because if you don't know where your light's coming from, you can't paint it. Now I could have made this rock round, not brown, round. I could have rounded this, put the light here, kept the medium tone there, the dark tone behind it, but these aren't round. They're shaped in those little squarish shapes. You see that? So you see the same thing here. Light, medium, and dark back here with some reflective in the backside. Pretty cool, huh?
All right. Thank you, Tom. Hey, what's next, Don? Okay, Smiley wants to know, how can you tell the difference between professional and student grade paint before you use it?
Okay, one of the ways to do it is put out your palette, like if it's a glass palette or a good smooth palette, put the paint out, grab a brush, just a flat brush. A flat brush would be best. I don't have one right here. Wait a minute, yeah, I do. So you take a flat brush, like so, and then you just touch the paint and pull on it. Pull to the right or the left. It doesn't really matter. Just get the paint in there and pull it. Now, if it's a really student grade, it's going to break a little bit as you pull out. It's going to break up a little bit, and it's not going to go as far. So if you have a good paint that's artist grade, which is at a high level, more pigment, actually, it has more pigment, then when you touch it and pull it, it's going to stretch like twice as long. That's your way to test it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. What's
Well,
next, Don? I'm as Don's putting up another question, I'm seeing people comment, Bridget's comment. Bridget is someone who is in the masterclass right now. She's on the intermediate level now. And she says that Tom is so good at explaining what he's doing on the canvas. You learn so much from each painting you do. It's amazing. And she also said the critiques help so much. It's invaluable. And what the critique means is when you do a painting, you submit it to us. And then Linda, who is your mentor and coach, she critiques it. She goes through it. She looks at it, and she gives you a video recording feedback of it. And then you get to make your changes, and you keep working on it until you're ready to go to the next painting and the next painting. And then when you get up past the intermediate level and into the advanced, then you get the critiques come from Tom. All right, Dawn, what's the next question? Okay, Life in Space wants to know, where is the best place to get paints for oil painting? I see you guys have an Alexander Art paint. Who does your manufacturing? Tom, I'd like to answer that question.
Well, you sure about? No, go ahead.
Yeah, you can answer it.
No.
I'd like to answer that question. So we have a great quality paint. Some of it we make ourselves, and some of it we have. We've had a high quality paint manufacturer make for us. There was a time when we used to make all of our own paint, and that was years and years ago. We made acrylic, watercolor, oil paint, but now we make a very, very, very high grade, very, very high level. In fact, Tom will tell you it's the best paint. The white that we make is the best paint in the world, I believe. That's what Tom tells me. And but it's a very good quality paint. So some of it we make, all of our mediums we clear our own oil. We make magic white using that clear oil. And I'm going to let Tom talk a little bit more about this, but some of the colors, we have a really good paint manufacturer who's made those colors for us. And but I will tell you that the paint has to be good because it has the Alexander name on it. And we won't sell anything that isn't a great paint. So Tom, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, I can tell you that when people walk in my studio, or when I've ever gone somewhere and displayed my paintings, people say, wow, those things why are they so beautiful and bright and colorful? Well, because number one, the oil that you put in, Lori, that you make is clear. Mm-hmm. It's not yellow. It's not like the yellow paint you see. If you go on YouTube and you watch somebody dump some yellow and then mix and mold it with a molar, that's not what we do.
Right.
We don't put the yellow paint in there because we want the colors to stay like they are. Mm-hmm. That's a major deal.
Yeah.
So when you make your magic white, we're not dumping yellow oil in white. So that white, when it goes on, it's going to stay beautiful. Mm-hmm. And then you know what you have? Bada boom, bada bing. It's great. I mean, there's nothing better. I love it because I know the result I'm going to get. Everything's going to stand up and hold the test of time. Mm-hmm. And it's going to last. So let's say when I pass on one day, generations down the road, my colors they're not going to change. They're not going to start morphing into like actually Van Gogh's yellow sunflowers have now turned orange. Mm-hmm. That's a shame. We can't see the beautiful yellow Van Gogh had. Those are beautiful flowers he did, by the way. But we can't see the beautiful yellow anymore because the paints were made with a yellow oil. And we're not doing that. We're making clear oil. I wish everybody would do that. That'd be nice, right?
Yeah, it would be very nice. There's a couple comments in the comments over here. Timothy says, Alexander paints are pro grade, really high in pigment, well blended in the binder. Thank you, Timothy. And Andy Caccioli asks if we're making our own paint in-house. Some of it we make, Andy, and as our inventory is used up, we'll make more colors. But here's what we're going to do. We are more interested in learning or teaching you how to mix your own colors. That you may see the number of colors that we sell is going to reduce because we're more about teaching you how to mix and make your own colors. But there will come a time when the paint that we sell will be all made in-house. But that's, we still have some inventory that we're working through before we get to that point. What's the next question?
I think that's it, Lori.
Okay.
Not seeing anymore.
All right. So, I just want to say one thing. One thing I know about Tom Anderson is that if he didn't like our paint, he wouldn't be on here. He wouldn't be with our company, and he would. I know that. I know.
Or make my own.
Yeah, he would make his own, and he would not even have anything to do with us if it wasn't great paint. And I will tell you that the paint's getting better and better and better because of his knowledge. You know, we clear all of our own magic clear, and I know how to do that because Tom spent 10 years learning how to do that. And so it's that's, you know, he's very, very knowledgeable, and gives us, you know, he teaches us all this great stuff. And it took me a little while. It didn't take me time to listen to him, Tom. It didn't take me time to listen to you. It just, it took time for me to be in a position to be able to make any kind of
there
change.
was a lot of information, Lori. If it took me 10 years to develop it and get it to where the scientists, when they looked at it, said, how did you invent this?
Yeah.
I mean, even they said, how did you do it?
Yeah.
And then they asked me, am I a scientist? And I said, no. And they said, well, you did it. You did it. You got it. So yeah, I mean, if it took me that long, trying to explain it to you wasn't easy. So I got to give you all the credit for listening and then doing it. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's really cool. You know, we want to leave this for everybody. We want everyone to have that. It's
right.
like, it'd be a shame for me and you, Lori, to go through life knowing we could have done something to really make beautiful paintings and really, really bounce off the wall, you know, and attract people, and then we didn't do anything about it. How terrible would that be?
Right. And here's
myself that way.
No, and here's the thing. The one thing about Alexander Art, Tom, all of us at Alexander Art, we have a saying that when we know better, we do better. And not only once we know better, we can't go back and do what we know isn't right. And we just won't. We just can't. And so it's always a progression. And we have to figure out how to do it to mass produce it, which we did. That took us a little while, but we got that all figured out. So anyway, you can't go wrong if you buy our paint. People, for the price and everything, it's just outstanding what you get. But there will be, you may, anyway, on future YouTubes, we'll talk more about the paint as we get closer to doing any kind of changes that we're going to do with the paint. But just know that we will never, ever put out a paint that we're not very, very proud of. And so if it isn't great, you won't be able to get it from us. So just always know that you can trust us to put out a good product. And if something goes wrong, we'll stand behind it. That's just the way we are. So anything else come in, Dawn? All right. Robert wants to know. Robert says, when I highlight darker colors, especially trees, my highlight color becomes dark fast, causing me to use a lot of yellows, etc. Any tips? Am I pressing too hard with highlights? Should I thin it?
Two things. Number one, okay, when you watch Bill highlight a tree, let's say this is the leaves, or let's say this hand is are the leaves of the tree. Let's say the pine tree. Okay, so you're going to highlight this tree. This is dark green now, right here. All this is dark green. Don't start right on the tree. Start just outside of it a little bit. That's number one. So then dance your way into it, and then lose the paint. You'll get a mid-tone. That's pretty clever, right? So you want to start, like if I look at this one up here, I want to be on the outside of the dark and walk my way in a little bit. Outside of the dark, walk your way in a little bit. So don't hit the dark, stay outside of it, just a little bit, and then walk your way in lightly with a light touch. If you have problems with that and it's real hard to do, it's always best to highlight the next day or another day later, 2 days later, because it takes a certain touch to do it. So that just tells you just how masterful Bill was when he could do it on TV and just do it real quickly. So if the paint's a little drier and there's not as much of it on the canvas, it's easier to do too. Just like the mountain I was talking about. If you have that gray mountain and it's blended down pretty deep down in the canvas, then you highlight with the white on, it will go on easier. But if you have a lot of thick paint on there, it's not gonna, as soon as it hits it, it's gonna deepen that yellow, and you're gonna have like to work extra hard at getting the highlight on. So one way to do it is to make sure that it's down in there deep enough. Don't kill it though, go in blah, 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 until it's all, you can control it, okay? And then just come in with the highlight on top. So here's the theory. All dark colors are actually thin. So darks go deep and lights go on lightly. I used to say this in class. Darks go deep and lights go on lightly. LL. So you get your darks down, thin down a little bit, you press in, and then the lights go on. Now, if you want a thicker tree in front, which Bill did a lot of, you can put the thicker tree on the front, but start your lights on the outside and walk in a little bit, and it'll preserve it better. I hope I answered that. That's a good one. That's a technical one that's real hard to achieve, but just take your time. You can do it.
But once you know it, once you get it down, then you've got it.
Yeah, it's a feel. It's a touch.
Yeah, it's a touch.
You got to have a certain touch for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Dawn, did you put a link? Yeah, you put a link into the store.
I did. Yes, I did.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah. All right, Tom, you know what? I think everybody that's on here actually got a bonus tonight, because we were just going to answer questions for maybe 10, 15 minutes. And now they get to watch the video when we're done, and they got all this great knowledge from you. So thank you so much, Tom. Thanks for being here.
Did the video play at all?
Well, it played for a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not very long.
Okay.
But I'm going to, I want to show everybody, I'm going to take us out of here for a minute. And I want to show you, these are the dates to keep in mind. Actually, Tom, I can put you back in over here with me.
Okay.
The live events that we're going to have next Monday at 5 p.m., we're going to do a Q&A. And now keep in mind that this Q&A is going to be based on watching and painting this video. So I want you guys to show up and ask questions about maybe anything you're struggling with or anything like that. And in fact, if you're struggling with something and you want to send us a photo at photos@alexanderart.com, you're stuck somewhere before next Monday, probably like Sunday night, send us a photo there and I can pop it up here and Tom can talk about it. So if you're struggling, that's the thing. That's what we don't want you to do. We don't want you to struggle. Well, we want you to struggle, but we want you to figure it out. So we want you to be successful. So plan to come to the Q&A next Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And then on October 6th, which is Tom's birthday, Tom has decided that he is going to spend the night with us reviewing your paintings. And again, we want you to submit your painting after you've done it. And then we're going to select a handful of them to review live. And what we will do, hopefully we'll have better luck with our video, running our video. I don't know why this is happening, but I'll look into that. But he will review them ahead of time. So we will watch a pre-recorded video, which we've had success with in the past. So it's a little bit shorter video. So, well, no, it's not, but I don't know why. We'll figure it out. Anything else? Last call, Dawn.
Yep, I think we're good.
Okay. All right. Well, last call. Okay. So, Tom,
Yeah.
what a great evening. Thank you so much for showing up.
You're
And
welcome.
thanks for being here and answering all of these questions right on the spot like that. So I know you helped a lot of people. So thank you so much. And we will see you tomorrow or Friday. We're working on a drawing course. That's the other thing that we're doing is I meet with Tom on Fridays and we're recording a drawing course. So we got all kinds of things. Tom's got a lot of knowledge to share, and we're getting it out for you guys. So thanks for coming, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Thanks, Tom.
Have a good one.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.